What's up, Freedom Fam? I'm your favorite libertarian, and this is my brand new 2024 Ford Ranger XLT. For context, I don't work for Ford. This is not a pressed truck. I'm not borrowing this from a dealership, so all of the pros and cons that you're gonna hear in this video are gonna be from an actual owner of this truck. You'll also get some tips on how to save money on a truck like this, and of course, a full truck tour. Today's truck tour will be based on how I spec'd out my Ranger, but if you want to know what packages are included and what are not included and how I spec'd it all out, you can check out my video up here, which will show you how I built this on Ford's website. First, let's go over what options and packages I added to this XLT. The first and most expensive of which is the 2.7 liter twin turbo V6 engine upgrade from the 2.3 liter 4-cylinder that comes standard. This engine is putting out 315 horsepower and 400 foot-pounds of torque. It's fast. And if you get a special tune with premium fuel, you can get really close to the same horsepower and torque numbers as the 3.0 liter V6 that comes in the Raptor Ranger. The second add-on was the NEFFEX 4 package: off-road tuned suspension, skid plates, terrain modes and menus, rear electronic locker, trail control, running boards, and the mysterious owl tires. A lot of people ask what tires these are in all the Ranger forums, so I'll tell you in this video. They are a 255/70 R17 SLOWLFO, and they are the Goodyear Wrangler Territory ATS. In case you're wondering what size these tires are in terms of inches, they are 31.1. Another thing I added to this XLT was the XLT High equipment group. So you get all the standard stuff plus powered seats, heated seats, remote start, power folding mirrors, power slide rear window, and the 12-inch screen. The last big one is going to be the advanced towing package. You get your receiver and hitch. You get all the plugins for all of your trailer brake stuff, trail brake controller, and backup assist. The other two are pretty simple: tough spray-in bed liner and floor liners. The ordering process of this truck is way too long of a story to tell, so I'll just skip to the part that you guys care about, which is how to save money when ordering your Ranger. This exact Ranger's MSRP as spec'd was $47,405. Which in my opinion is way too much money to pay for a mid-sized truck, even with the inflated costs these days. Now, the first thing I'd recommend you do, if at all possible, is to have AZ Plan. My dad is Ford retiree, so I was able to use AZ Plan. But AZ Plan, in case you're unfamiliar with Ford, is either for someone who works at Ford currently or is retired from Ford. Them and their direct family members, such as a son, qualifies for AZ Plan. You get a special PIN, and then you get around 10%, give or take, off of MSRP. So because of that, I was able to get my Ranger for $43,852, which again isn't cheap, but it's a lot less than it would be for any of the other trucks with similar capabilities in this segment, because I have that AZ pricing available to me. And either way, it's a lot less than a Raptor. Now, secondly, if you don't have AZ Plan, fear not. There are some clubs that you can join, such as Mustang Club of America, that qualifies you for X Plan pricing, which isn't as good as the AZ Plan discount, but it is still a discount under MSRP. And with that X Plan, the dealers can't charge any of the crazy upcharges for the rarity of your vehicle like they've done with Broncos in the past, and they're doing currently with Raptors. Thirdly, another thing I'd recommend to save money is to join a credit union. In my experience, they've always had the best rates for auto loans. When I initially ordered my Ranger, the rates were at like 7%-ish. Then they dropped down to 4.99 by the time I was about to pick up the truck from the dealership. And by setting up auto pay, I was able to get it down even further to 4.74%, which isn't great compared to the loan that I had on my Rubicon in 2020, but it's definitely better than 7%. Man, I really hope this part of the video doesn't age well. The last thing I'd recommend you do to save money would be to request bi-weekly payments. You'll pay less in interest and you'll pay off the loan much faster. Now let's start the truck tour and go over the pros and cons before I get too carried away with mods on this guy. Starting with the exterior, I went with the carbonized gray metallic, which I think looks awesome. It doesn't show dirt as much as it's a gray, and it matches the sports appearance package accents, especially the grille area and the wheels. The stance is much wider and aggressive, which I really like. Sometimes I'll just look in the side mirror to stare at those fender flares. The seat clamp headlights really modernize the look of this truck. The adaptive high beams are pretty neat too. Finally, LED is standard in the Ranger. It's about time, Ford. The taillights look good and the tailgate is finally dampened. Inside the bed, you get multiple tie-down loops, lighting, and 120 volt and 400 watt in-bed power. You've got your trailer hitch and wiring, and right behind that is your spare tire. Speaking of what's under there, let's take a look, shall we? Now you can start to see what you're paying for with the FX4 package. There's an electronic locker rear diff, the fuel tank guard, transfer case shield, and bash plate. And of course, the upgraded shocks and springs. I wish they were red. Oh well. You still have leaf springs in the back for maximum towing. 7,500 pounds. Not bad for this little truck. I almost forgot about the side steps. In the 2024s, they are required with the FX4 package, but not in the 2025s. I'm not sure how I feel about them. I'm 6'3", so I find they just kind of get in the way when I'm getting in and out. When I make the Ranger taller with future mods, they could be useful. But right now, I'd rather have rock sliders in an off-road package, not side steps. Before we head inside, I wanted to take note of something in the engine bay besides this massive engine. This is all you get to open the hood. Really? Paying over $40,000 for a vehicle and not getting hydraulics in the hood doesn't make much sense to me, but what do I know? Oh, and the automatic folding mirrors. Welcome to the redesigned interior. First, we'll start with the wah-wahs about this interior, and then we'll get into the things that I like. The seats, while comfortable, are not as dark as the pictures on Ford's website, and from a design perspective, look kind of cheap to me. I'm also still bummed that Ford doesn't even give you the option of leather seats in the Ranger XLT, even though they do for XLT trimmed vehicles in their lineup otherwise. Again, for what this truck costs, I expect leather to just be standard equipment. As I've mentioned, the XLT High Equipment Group comes with heated seats, but only for the two front seats, and there's no heated steering wheel unless you pay way more for the Lariat or the Raptor. Come on! Speaking of how the rear seat passengers are out of luck, they also don't get any vents for hot or cold air. All of the air conditioning and heat comes from the dash. There's even an empty space where Ford totally could have put vents. What the heck, man? Also, a little seat storage back behind this seat. No storage behind this seat. Why? Besides what I've heard from the internet, my oldest has also commented on how comfortable the back seat is. You have more room than you think, as the back of the front seats are recessed to give you even more legroom. The rear passengers get power options for USB-C, USB, and 400 watt. Besides my previous complaint regarding the missing vents, it would be nice at least if Ford would rubberize this cubby so you could actually use it for storage without the risk of things sliding out from its smooth plastic surfaces. Another thing that would be super awesome in the back seat would be a split fold design. If you have car seats like I normally do in the back, you can't use the folding features without removing yours. And if you're a parent, you know how annoying some of those car seats can be to remove. However, if that's not you, the seat itself folds and locks into place, which is nice. And the backrest folds down to give you a flat surface to store additional items. Ford's missed opportunity comes in the form of under-seat storage. It unfortunately appears to be exactly the same as previous model years. I don't know if it's due to the design of the frame or the body underneath it, but it would be much preferred to have one long, deep compartment, or at the very least, two deep rectangular compartments to maximize the interior storage for those who don't plan on using a tonneau cover outside the cabin. Lastly, the headrests are way too far angled forward and don't adjust at all. Speaking of which, when you're folding down those seats, you can't actually fold them all the way down unless you remove those headrests or you have the front seats super far forward. Why, Ford? Why? Now let's get into the headliner area. I'm disappointed that it's so bright. If your hands are dirty from doing truck stuff or just being one of my sons in general, you'll probably smudge or stain the headliner or the plastic hardware. Ford could have easily made all of this black as they've done in the Raptor, and I truly feel this is another instance where Ford downgraded their lower trim levels just to give you more reason for the massive price differences of the Lariat and the Raptor. As far as features go, all of your passengers get the oh crap handle, but you do not. I assume that Ford assumes you'll use the steering wheel to pull yourself up if you need help. As we have younger kids, I'd prefer their handles to be on the A-pillars instead of way higher than they can reach from the ground, since most of the time they would need help getting in, not holding on. In the center front, you have your controls for dome lighting and your power slide window, along with the cool sunglasses cubby. Okay, one more thing, and this is regarding Ford's build and price website. There was unfortunately a difference between what Ford says you'll get or not get and what you actually get. If you remember my build and price video, you might remember me adding the advanced towing package to delete the Ford Copilot 360, so I wouldn't have any of those annoying safety features. Some people might really like them, but I personally want to be in control of my truck at all times. So having the truck brake for me, steer for me, or do anything without my input is not something that I'm into. When adding the advanced towing package, the website told me it would delete Ford Copilot 360. And that was the main reason I bought it. Otherwise, I would have gotten a more basic tow package and added the brake controller. Well, bad news, guys. It didn't. If I would have known that, I could have saved the difference, which would have been $300. At least I can let you guys know that Ford was full of crap on that one so you don't fall for it. Learning something new is never a waste of time. Okay, I think that's enough negativity for today. Now let's talk about the things I really like about this interior. The dash and vents really bring this Ranger into this century. The door design looks good as well and is functional. The seats and cabin space allow for enough room to fit me in the front seat and another me behind me. And I'm 6'3". Also, even with the seat as high as it'll go, I still have enough headroom. What? The screen is massive and works well. Although it took me a while to get used to the Ford-isms in the Sync 4 software, like icons that they use for things, how the remote start works, the unlock and lock buttons being opposite sides of the key fob compared to my last vehicle, stuff like that. But don't worry, I figured it out. Oh, and if you guys want a full walkthrough of all the screen menus for the 12-inch display and steering wheel cluster, I'll do a dedicated video on those as well. Just let me know that you want that in the comment section below. The basic sound system is actually good. Not Bang & Olufsen quality, but still definitely gets the job done. There are still hard controls for the important stuff, which I use exclusively while driving, and below you have the USB-C and USB port for charging passenger phones or adding music. The driver, of course, gets the wireless charging pad, which is super fancy. Ooh la la. The center console has a cigarette lighter outlet. If you understand what I just said, you're old like me, and an open design. There is, however, no smaller compartment built in to the armrest itself. The glove box can at least fit gloves, but it's not a huge compartment. I should also note that unlike the Lariat, the XLT does not give you the secret second glove box above it. I know I talked about quite a few cons in this video, but none of those cons were deal breakers, otherwise I wouldn't have ordered the truck. I actually really like this truck. I just wanted to make sure you had an understanding of the good, the bad, and the really Ford, so you can decide if it makes sense for you based on your needs. The spacious interior, powerful engine, towing, off-road features, and looks were enough for me to pull the trigger, in spite of having to put the key in the ignition to start it in the year of our Lord, 2024. You know, it takes me back to when I turned over my first car in 2002. Nostalgia. Now, if you're trying to figure out which Ranger to get, here's my argument for this exact setup. Tons of conveniences without the Lariat price tag. Loads of features and equipment have been added in 2024 to the XLT. You can also option the XLT out how you want it without being locked into things that you don't want, keeping the cost down. If you really want the cool tech features, upgraded sound system, and the leather seats, they are standard in the Lariat, but you're paying a lot more for the standard equipment, and in doing so are creeping up to the price tag of the Raptor, where everything is standard and you get a lot more for your money. So for me, it's really 2.7 versus the Raptor. And with that 10K price difference, it was a pretty easy decision for me. There you have it. I am a proud Raptor owner. All right, so I showed you all the things that I like and don't like about this truck. Now I'm going to talk about some of the future mods that I would love to do to this. So if you are a company that carries any of these things, a website that carries different brands, or you're one of those particular brands you'd like to be featured in one of the videos on this truck, let me know. You can just go to yourfavoritelibertarian.com, email us there, or you can go to my Instagram, just DM me. Either way though, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'd like to do. And I'm kind of gearing this towards the everyman's truck that also would like to do some light off-roading on the weekends. That's what this is going to be set up as. And I also still am going to be doing camping, towing, all that stuff. So it still needs to do all the truck stuff, but also do other cool things as well. So first thing I want to do is get a 2.5-inch leveling kit. I think Superlift makes one. So if they'd like to partner with me, I'd like to show the install for that. And then this would sit level and it'll just give it even meaner of a stance than it already has. And these tires have got to go. These are 31.1-inch tires. If I get that leveling kit, I'm told I can do a 33-inch tire. So there's a lot of companies that make a 33-inch tires, some even for this specific wheel. I really like the wheel, so I'd like to keep it if possible. But you know, if a company is gonna give me more off-road specific wheels for the tires that they're sending, I probably wouldn't be too upset about that either. I just don't want to have a bunch of weird offset stuff, and I don't want it to be sticking way out from the fender, because I don't necessarily want to have huge fender flares or have rocks just whipping out the side and scratching up the paint. I just got the ceramic coated, so I'm trying to protect it. The other thing that I want to do besides the tires and the lift is going to be some internal stuff. So one of the things is going to be a start-stop eliminator. There's a couple companies that sell them. Some of them don't even void your warranty, because all it's doing is remembering the last setting you had it at, which is probably going to be the off setting. So that'll be something that will be great for this. Turboed engines, you shouldn't be starting and stopping them all the time. That oil needs to run through that turbo and it needs to cool down before it stops where it's at. It's very dumb of Ford to have start-stop technology in their turboed engines, and both engine options are turboed for this truck, so I have no idea what they're thinking, besides having to bow to the emission lords. All right, moving on from there though, let's go back outside. The side steps, they are functional for my kids. I'm a bit too big for them, but I'd like to do kind of a combination of the two and do more of a rock slider, have it a little bit tighter to the body, but more functional, and still be something you could use as a step once this is higher off the ground with the bigger tires and the small leveling kit. Now, another thing I want to do is protect and secure the bed. I want to get some type of trifold hard tonneau cover, which would serve a couple of purposes. One, it would look cool. Two, I'd be able to store more stuff in the back more regularly without having to worry about someone trying to take it or see that there's something in there. And three, when we go on long trips like camping, I can put everything in there. Don't have to worry about tying stuff down, don't have to worry about stuff blowing out. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. A couple like really nice to haves would be a cold air intake for this engine, the 2.7 liter. Not sure if anybody makes that yet, so we'll have to keep our fingers crossed on that. And then an exhaust for this, an aftermarket exhaust. It could sound way better than it does, even in sport mode. I don't feel like you can really hear what's really under the hood, and I'd like to have, one, less restriction, so it just performs better, but two, also have it sound way better, which I think this is very capable of doing. That's pretty much all the mods I'm thinking of right now. I'm sure other ones will come up. And if you guys have any suggestions on, again, what you want to see on this truck, let me know in the comment section. And if you have any connections with any of those companies that would like to work with me, don't be shy with providing my contact info to them. If you made it this far in the video, be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell, as we will be doing future mods and upgrades to this truck to make it even more awesome. And if you have any questions or suggestions on what you'd like to see on this truck, put those in the comment section below. Also, I take prayer requests. I love praying for you guys, so if you have any of those, put those in the comment section as well. And as always, thanks for watching, stay free, and God bless.